go live. Music.
Yeah, I can pull up the chat box.
All right, everyone. What's going on? Thank you for listening to Dodgers podcast. We are presented by FanSided. Klein here. Just a few days left. Los Angeles Dodgers haven't made any moves in the last couple. The press conference we're going to recap. We're joined by Dusty in the house, and this is Kevin Klein speaking. So hope everyone has a fun New Year's ahead. Maybe one of my sorry if that's sorry to fix my audio on my end. I'm going to hand it over to Jake Reiner to.
What a day, right? What a day. What an off season. I mean, this has been like Christmas the entire time. It felt like when we were creeping into the winter meetings, there was nothing. There was literally all quiet on the Western Front, and it didn't look great at the outset given all the expectations the Dodgers had. Then we were all misled to believe that Shohei Ohtani was going to the Blue Jays, which never happened. And then once that report was found to be completely erroneous, it was like the floodgates opened and the Dodgers were in business. They get Ohtani, they get Glass now, they get Yamamoto, and now it's like a stacked roster. Everyone, you're either on two sides of this argument, right? You're either on this is great for baseball and this is great for the Dodgers, or the Dodgers are ruining baseball and this is terrible. So it's a fun place to be, honestly, when you're in the Dodgers camp, just getting to sit up here and look at all the people complaining and crying and coping with all the misery that is their team when you look at the Dodgers. So for me, this was brilliant. I had an absolute blast watching both press conferences, but what was cool to see Yamamoto get up there with a prepared statement in English. I just applaud him for even attempting it. And apparently, according to some reporting, he's been learning English a lot. And I think his sister is an English teacher, if I'm not mistaken. So that is just a really, really cool thing to watch. And then his personality is it's very radiant. You know, it's very warm and energized. And you kind of just fell in love with him when you watched the press conference. What did you think, Dusty?
Yeah, I think I echo all of that. First of all, that when you have a player that comes overseas, I think a lot of people just assume immediately that they're going to produce, that, you know, it's an easy transition for some reason. For a lot of fans, they just kind of assume this, and you forget they're people that, you know, they may struggle with the language barrier. They may struggle with the little things like even the move, right? Just going to the grocery store, trying to purchase, you know, with a different type of currency. There's things that we don't think about, right? And so for Yamamoto to come over and to make it very clear immediately that he wants to be in LA, that he's going to try to, you know, communicate with the fans to the best of his ability, already doing that. I think, you know, some people were saying these videos that the Dodgers are making of him, like at the Dodgers store and saying like 2 or 3 English words. And it's like a sentence that, like, people are like, oh, that's corny. What are you talking about? Like, can you imagine if you were signing a huge contract in a place where you couldn't speak the language, or, you know, you really
what if you were going to Japan?
Yeah, it's exactly like it's a culture shock, right? So good for him for taking the initiative and for clearly making it something where he's clearly likable, right? Like, we can already, I think, agree that he's a likable player. And to pair him with Shohei Ohtani, it's really awesome because Ohtani has some of these commercials where he's at least a little bit of English he's been speaking. So, you know, I think the two of them maybe collectively together over time will be able to learn the language and just grow closer to teammates. It also helps, I think, when we heard about the names that were thrown out there of trying to recruit Yamamoto, that they were English speakers, right? Players that obviously are Dodger staples and cornerstones that are English speakers, and Yamamoto still felt comfortable enough to be able to come over just as Shohei did. So that speaks volumes to me about the Dodgers organization, about the players involved in the organization, and also that speaks volumes about Ohtani and Yamamoto, that they're willing to be a part of this. So just from a non-baseball standpoint, from a teammate standpoint, team chemistry, I love it. I think it speaks volumes about all these players, and could not be more excited. I know some people will look at the years, the contract, and kind of that'll obviously raise a lot of eyebrows, but the reality is you're getting a young kid that's got maturity already clearly on his side. He's got filthy stuff, man. It's so fun to watch his bullpens. I've watched endless video of just his mechanics. He's very sound. He's smooth. He's fluent with obviously how he just is able to, go from point A to point B, and his release is really impressive because it's like a straight up 12-6 is his arm angle. So it's really fun to watch that. Curious to see the breaking ball on a day-to-day basis, because I think he's going to have a filthy curve based off what I've read and seen.
Okay, let's see how I sound now. Still choppy?
You sound better. Still a little low, but sound better.
This is just infuriating. Sorry. I'll have to figure it out one way or another, but took away from this press conference with Yamamoto is Dodger Stadium around 2017, I think, sense of what a playoff atmosphere is like. And he actually went to, because Kenta Maeda was coming out of the bullpen and mentioned that he came to Los Angeles to watch Kane.
The fact that he was there in 2017, like you mentioned, watching Kenta Maeda on the mound in a playoff game, electric. He ends up taking Kenta Maeda's number anyway, number 18. And to me, that I think we all miss Kenta Maeda a little bit. He was such a fun player to watch, and also just his kind of team player mentality. I know that he didn't want to go to the bullpen, but did so anyway and embraced that role and was a lockdown reliever in that role, and then goes and gets a starting job with the Minnesota Twins. But it just speaks to Yamamoto and Ohtani being team players, especially Ohtani, with the way that he deferred his contract. So these guys are not here to become the stars, isolated stars, where they're coming here to collect stats and all that stuff and accolades. These guys are coming here to win. They're coming here to win championships. And say what you want about Dave Roberts, his probably his biggest strength is his ability to get all these players to buy in at once. There's no ego there. You've got guys like Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman already on the team. There's never been an ego with those guys. They're just there to win. They're there to work and win. And the fact that all these superstars are buying into this sort of team first mentality, you couldn't want anything more than that. And especially coming from your very, very high priced talent in Yamamoto and Ohtani.
Yeah. And just kind of to go off of that as well, I think, obviously there's a history here, right, with the Dodgers in the past of signing international players that have gone on to do great things. We can just start off by talking about Hideo Nomo, right? And so the history of bringing that up and the culture that the Dodgers have cultivated, where obviously at the end of the day, this is a team that values having cultural backgrounds that are different from those that maybe grew up in an area down the street, right? Or there's, weirdly enough, by the way, just because I'm in Kentucky, there are a lot of Kentucky players in the Dodgers organization. We were talking about even before the show. So you have guys that are from out of state maybe, but then you bring in the cultural aspect of Japan and South Korea. It's awesome to see the blend, right? And having Kenta Maeda on this team, he had some serious, huge starts for this organization down the stretch in the playoffs. He was really crucial. I think that you look at the history, though, of past success of international players, man. And Hyunjin Ryu is another one that I'll bring up as well. Just the talent that we've seen across the board and the influence that these guys have had probably on future generations of Dodgers players and fans, it's significant. So really exciting to have both Ohtani and Yamamoto come through here, because you get that background that it's kind of a tradition that they're building, I feel like. something that I'd love to see is for them to continue to cultivate kind of the Mexican culture as well. If they can find a player, I'm not just saying this, but Randy Arozarena would have been really cool to be able to bring, that face in here. And, obviously the history that we have in that particular side of things would be awesome to kind of build off of too. But this is really impressive, man, what the Dodgers have done. And let's also talk about the fact that their rotation is unreal now. It went from a weakness to arguably one of the strongest rotations in the entire league. So from a baseball standpoint, unbelievable decisions they've made. Bringing in Glass now, we can't forget him because, man, what an addition Glass now is to this team. And with Yamamoto, now all of a sudden we're talking about you could probably limit Glasnow's innings a little bit during the regular season. You don't necessarily need him to go out there every single 5 games because Yamamoto brings you value. He brings you depth. And, you got other faces like Bobby Miller, Walker Buehler. When he makes his return, hopefully he'll be able to be limited a little bit, but gives you flexibility as Emmett Sheehan comes up, Landon Knack. The list goes on and on, right? So this is just another huge addition, and reports indicate the Dodgers still may not be done in the rotation side of things, and also they may be looking for a bat, of course, as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're the Clayton Kershaw name is still out there, so we got to keep an eye on that guy. But yeah, they're still looking for a bat too. This front office is not done yet, and I think that even Stan Kasten, who gave an interview to Sportsnet LA yesterday, was saying that Andrew Friedman is basically working as we speak on improving the roster. So. Super excited. The one other point that I wanted to make about the press conference that I thought was really cool was they had asked Yamamoto what Ohtani's influence was in making his decision to become a Dodger. And while he did credit Ohtani for reaching out to him and kind of spearheading this campaign to bring him over, Yamamoto said that he probably would have ended up with the Dodgers anyway, right. Regardless of where Ohtani went, which is great because what it means is that he really does want to be here. And Ohtani really does want to be here. They want to be Dodgers. They want to play for this team, and you can't ask for anything more than that.
Okay, I'm going to talk. Are we having issues?
Hey, there he is.
I think I'm in the clear.
Yeah, it sounds way better, Kevin.
All right, you guys carried the show. Thank you so much. On that point that Jake just talked about with Shohei Ohtani wanting to be here, Yoshinobu Yamamoto wanting to be here, Tyler Glasnow wanting to be here. This is going to be a major culture shift for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Let's go back to 2 years ago when they acquired a big bat in Trey Turner. Guess what Trey Turner didn't want to do? He didn't want to be a Los Angeles Dodger. He was actually a little upset that he got traded to the West Coast and moved from the East Coast. And that's not to say Trey Turner didn't give it his all with the Dodgers. He most certainly did. He was an all-star. He was one of the best shortstops in the game. But you could tell he kind of folded when the going got tough in the playoffs. Other guys like Max Scherzer, he's another Mr. East Coast. He didn't feel like he was all in with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now we've got guys like Yamamoto who tried to have the Yankees and Mets tried to lure him at almost all costs, and it didn't matter because Yamamoto wanted to be a Los Angeles Dodger. He was swayed in because he loved the idea of this winning culture that the Dodgers had to offer. It's not like other teams don't have to offer that as well. I mean, the Braves, the Yankees, these are other excellent franchises that easily have the same prestige. But he wanted to be in Los Angeles. He mentioned that he just loved the atmosphere, meeting guys like Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, of course Ohtani, Bobby Miller, Walker Buehler, just all the stars in the Los Angeles Dodgers clubhouse. And you can tell, based off his tenacity, his tone in the press conference yesterday, this is a guy who's ready to give it his all for the Los Angeles Dodgers for the next dozen years. And I bet he cannot wait for his first game to take them out here at Dodger Stadium.
God, that's going to be such a sweet moment. And think about the moments that are about to occur where Ohtani takes his first at-bat. You have Yamamoto taking the mound for the first time. You get Glasnow, which, okay, I got to tell you a quick story here because it's very bizarre, but Glasnow and I grew up in the same area. In fact, my mom actually, she was a Spanish teacher. She believes she taught Glasnow in her Spanish class. She's not 100% certain. She did teach James Shields, but Glasnow pitched at the same high school as Trevor Bauer. We're not going to talk too much about that, but He did also pitch at the same high school that Robert Van Scoyoc, who was my hitting coach and, of course, the Dodgers hitting coach now, he played at, which is very interesting. The whole dynamic is strange. Hart High School is the school in Santa Clarita, California. And so being from Santa Clarita, we knew of Glass now for a long time. Like, we knew that he was going to be something special. I think that even people from back in my hometown, they're just blown away by how unbelievably effective he is. I have a couple friends that caught bullpens from him recently and told me they've never caught filthier stuff. And they've caught major league talent before too. And they've said that it's just the sharp movement that he has, the slow delivery that then all of a sudden you get the late bite. It's unreal what they've been able to do to reel him in. So really excited to see the moment that Glass now gets when he gets to pitch in his hometown team, Dodger Stadium, in his home stadium. So that's going to be really special. You get 3 major moments there. After a time where really, I don't think a lot of people talk about this. The 2020 World Series. Obviously, you do that during the pandemic, right? You have that, you win the championship in front of a quarter of a crowd in Texas. Dodgers don't even get a parade, right? They don't get a chance to go celebrate in the streets. They don't get a chance to celebrate in front of their fan base. It's almost like, okay, congrats, you won. It's over, on to the next one. And then as things started to return back to normal, people, of course, call it the Mickey Mouse ring, all that. It's almost like they're made fun of for winning a championship. It hasn't been fair to Dodgers fans based off of what's happened of late, of what's happened over the last decade or 2 decades. The fact that they've had to endure all these brutal postseason losses, and the one that they get, they don't even get to celebrate. So what a special moment and opportunity the fans get to finally actually celebrate something, getting Ohtani, Yamamoto, and Glass now. And hopefully by the end of the year, they get to celebrate a World Series championship at their home stadium and get the parade they deserved all along.
I've never dabbled in javelin before, but apparently Yamamoto is a big javelin thrower, and he learned this a few years ago. I guess something about the motion of throwing javelins on a routine basis helps with his elbow and shoulder pain. And I think the Dodgers even gifted him like a nice new set of javelin, if I was reading the article correctly. This guy's going to be really interesting.
You're not a javelin thrower, Kevin? I could have sworn that you looked like the type that would throw a javelin from time to time. No, I feel like we're gonna come up with. We're gonna hear about all these like different little quirky things that we've never heard of before. The way that Yamamoto has trained, the way that Ohtani has trained. I'm just so excited for the different stories to come out about this team. When you think about the 2024 season, I saw someone tweet today that it's going to be a movie. It really is. I mean, it's going to be one of the most electric years, one way or the other, because either the Dodgers are going to have this incredible season, go to the postseason, win a World Series, or they're going to have an incredible regular season and get punked in the playoffs again. And either way, it's going to be insane. Like, it's going to be a social media meltdown regardless of what happens. So I'm excited, just as anybody would be, to see what happens with this team this year.
Do you guys think, with obviously so much transition, right? You have Ohtani that he obviously had to get Tommy John surgery, right? So he's not going to be able to pitch this year. You have Yamamoto shifting over to America and moving to the West Coast. You have Glass now coming over from the AL East to the NL West. Do you think Dodgers fans deserve to have high expectations on day one that they play, or do you think that they're going to give them a little bit of breathing room just to make the adjustments? Because I think one thing that concerns me a little bit is the expectation that the moment they take the field, they're expected to pitch and play and hit at the highest level there is, right? The second that happens. And I kind of touched on a little bit the human element, that there is going to be somewhat of a human element for all 3 of these guys, right? So where is the expectation where, okay, these guys need to perform on day 1? Is it day 10? Is it day 20?
I already know what the answer is. There are going to be so many Dodger fans. If this team starts off 500 in the month of April, they're going to declare, the season's over, this team's fraudulent, we're 5 games out, it's over, this is the biggest waste of money ever. There's going to be 5%, I would say, of millions of Dodger fans. There'll be that small 5% that are going to have the loudest voice on social media, because that's just how it always goes. People can't help but pay attention to the standings that early on in the season, and they think, oh, just because this team's in first place by April 30th, oh, they're clearly going to win the NOS. It just doesn't work like that. So to answer your question, Dusty, there are going to be some fans out there who have that mentality, but I think for the majority of fans who are, not casuals, they're going to realize that it's going to take maybe a little bit of time for this team to get going, and that's honestly okay.
Yeah, I think it's fine too. I agree.
Go ahead, Dusty. What'd you say?
No, Jake, that's all you. I completely agree. If Ohtani's hitting 200 in week 2, I'm not worried. Let's just put it that way.
I'm not worried either. And I think that expectations of Ohtani are going to be higher than Yamamoto, let's say, to start, because Ohtani's been in the league for 6 years. So you kind of expect him to just continue swinging the bat the way we know he can swing the bat. As far as Yamamoto goes, I would give him as much breathing room, as much margin for error as it allows for him to get acclimated to the mound. But honestly, just watching the way he has pitched in Japan, and this is not just like, the best pitcher in Japan, right? And how can we compare the best pitcher in Japan to the best pitcher in the United States? This guy owned Japan. I mean, he was unhittable in the years that he pitched in Japan. He has 2 no-hitters, for Christ's sake. I mean, he was by far and away the most dominant pitcher in the country. So to me, like, I don't think that there's going to be this sort of like, growing pains for him, because he's so good and he's so young and he throws the ball so hard and he has a great mix of pitches that I feel like he's going to come out of the gate hot and he's going to come out of the gate dominant. But if he doesn't, you give him that grace period to try and figure things out. But I agree, Kevin. I mean, not only will Dodgers fans kind of like try to jump ship in the month of April, but you'll see the rest of the league's fans kind of jump on top of them too, with the amount of money that they spent this offseason. There are going to be people that are going to be clowning us from just all walks of life. But you know something? X has a great feature called bookmarks. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. You click the bookmark, and then once the Dodgers take over first place in the NL West, you let the receipts fly. And that's just how it works.
Yeah, and I mean, Yamamoto, he's going to open up a different element for the Dodgers, I would assume, based off his track record in Japan, because he can throw 120, 130 pitches comfortably in a game. And I think the biggest thing that differentiates Yamamoto versus regular pitchers these days is they're all pretty dependent on velocity and swing and miss stuff. Versus Yamamoto, it's looking like he's a fair comp to Greg Maddux, where this guy is really, really reliant on accuracy and locating pitches. And so I'm hoping that this plays in Major League Baseball and he doesn't have to be as dependent on gas. Rather, he is just so accurate with his pitches. This allows him to be one of the most durable innings eaters in the game.
Yeah, and his motion, it's almost like he's more of a professional thrower than he is a pitcher. His motion is so simple, and it almost resembles those motions of like the dead ball era, like all the way back, in the beginning of baseball, where guys didn't really have a leg kick and they kind of just stood on the mound and just threw it, reared back and threw the ball. He's kind of got that old school feel to him, which is really cool.
Yeah, watching his bullpen video, like I said before, I watched that on repeat because you talk about somebody that's mechanically sound. He's like the definition of it. And actually, I love the Greg Maddux comparison because after just doing some digging and watching highlights from the World Baseball Classic, the main thing Yamamoto seems to have a strength over a lot of other pitchers with is he spots every pitch, right? And he spots it beautifully. Whether that be his fastball, his breaking ball, I'm stoked to see what he does with the curveball. Just if he's more of a guy that's willing to want to throw that for a strike, or if it's that filthy that he can throw it anywhere in or out of the zone to the point where he's willing to locate that. It looks like we may have lost Kevin for a second there, but we will keep going until he comes back. At the end of the day, one thing that I am really interested by, whether it be watching Yamamoto pitch, whether it be watching Ohtani make his shift over from the Angels to the Dodgers, I think that watching the rest of this Dodgers team combined with these guys, like the way that they mesh, is something I'm genuinely curious to watch. The team chemistry aspect, like we talk all about a face that comes in, and you can just tell genuinely that Shohei Ohtani is one of these guys that is a genuine soul. Kevin is back. That's also a genuine soul right there. And then you also have Yamamoto, who seems like just the nicest guy in the world making these videos. Tyler Glasnow, I don't know if you watch or follow him on Instagram. Obviously, I know from childhood, just from the area of hearing stories from other people, that he's a genuinely good person. You're adding 3 people that are great human beings to that locker room of Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts. You hope that Clayton Kershaw can return and just kind of stabilize that even more. But you've got a team of guys that are wanting to win, and you are adding competitors that are good human beings. And I just think that is something special that I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see day one how that works. And really, really thrilled for that, especially because, the Dodgers, not necessarily over the last few years, but like just recently in the last year or two, maybe, have had the drama of the Urias. They've had the drama of Bauer. It's nice to bring in some faces where you just know on day one that they are going to be solid human beings that should fit in nicely in the clubhouse. And I'm thrilled about that.
I love the idea of having really good human beings on this team, but I really hope that once October comes around, we get some dogs in that clubhouse. Yeah. And I think Ohtani kind of coming in and taking over that leadership role from Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts, because let's be honest, Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman are not your vocal leaders. They're lead by example guys. They're grind it out, get on the field early, work through their swing, all of those things. They're grinders. But Ohtani is a leader. And I'm reminded of the clip of Ohtani speaking to his teammates on Team Japan in the clubhouse.
This exact same thing.
Prior to the championship game of the World Baseball Classic between USA, he was basically like, look, we know they've got Mookie Betts, they got Mike Trout, they got Paul Goldschmidt. Forget all of that. We've got talent in this room to win this game. We're going to go out there and do it. And they did. And the image of Ohtani running from the dugout to the bullpen to warm up to face Mike Trout in that situation, I mean, that is what you want in October. That's what we've been waiting for in October. And I think Yamamoto has that same mentality.
Yeah, I love that point. In fact, I think the words of Ohtani, he said something along the lines of, don't adore them. I think that's how the translation was. And I loved that because he made it very clear that you can respect the competition on the other side. And the Japanese, obviously known for being very respectful in their play, and obviously at the end of the games, they bow down to the other team as far as just they take a bow saying, good game, congrats on the accomplishments they've had. But at the end of the day, that's the winning chip that you need. And I like the point a lot about the dogs because I think that's what you need. Glasnow, I think something that people don't bring up a lot is Glasnow was also this close to potentially winning a World Series title. And that was just that it happened against the team that he grew up. Right. It's the fact that he probably has that taste in his mouth of being so close, but no cigar. And now all of a sudden the team that beat him, he has a chance to join him. If you can't beat him, join him. Right. And to win a title with his hometown team, I guarantee you there's nothing that's going to drive him more. And a lot of these comments, it seems that people are feeling the same way I assume all three of us do, which is we do want to see Kershaw back. Right. And you want to see one last go with him here. And I think that would really solidify a chapter of what has been really brutal for the Dodgers, of just kind of that taste of the championship, 2017, the pain of that, 2018, kind of the fallout a little bit, and the Red Sox just being as great as they were. And then the frustrations we've dealt with outside of 2020, right? Even with 2020, this fan base deserves the most right now. And to have these 3 chips come over, it's going to be so significant, from the on the field experience that you get to in the clubhouse, to that winning mentality. They bring it all. And so I can't thank the Dodgers front office enough for actually giving this team a real shot with players that want that shot.
What's going on, everyone? Very active in the chat. Love to see it. If you haven't hit the like button yet, you got to hit that like button. Do us a service. If you're not a subscriber, you've been watching, you got to hit the subscribe button. Share this with your friends. Get everyone in the chat going. That'll only help us and boost us in the ratings. Jason Castillo, along with the Lithium Dodger, are both asking, do we have thoughts on a potential Shane Bieber and Emmanuel Class package with the Cleveland Guardians? There really haven't been that legitimate of rumors out there in terms of Shane Bieber to the Dodgers. Class there has been a little bit more of a buzz. I know Jim Bowden mentioned it. I think one other reporter mentioned that the Dodgers are still active in the relief market. I feel like if the Dodgers were to swing this trade with Cleveland, it would make a lot of sense on paper. Just given the fact that Walker Buehler, it looks like he's not going to be ready to start by opening day. They want to ease him into the season, which makes a lot of sense to me. And the Dodgers definitely feel like they are looking to add some more starting pitching depth. And hey, Shane Bieber wouldn't be the worst guy to have at the back end of your rotation.
I think that if they get Class A, or if they're going after Class A, they might as well try and get Bieber as well, because you can never have enough starting pitching, but also that's going to be a haul for those two players. And the Dodgers obviously have the haul to give to Cleveland. But if you're just going after one guy, let's say if it's just Class A, I don't necessarily want to go all in on just one player. If you can get two players out of that deal, giving up a Vargas, a Bush, or Gavin Stone, one of those guys, or a couple of those guys thrown in the trade, then I'm all for it. And I think the question also asked about Bednar and Reynolds of the Pirates. And I'll just say this again about the Pittsburgh Pirates. They always hold the Dodgers hostage for some reason. So their asking price is always going to be through the roof. So I'm very weary with dealing with the Pirates.
Shane Bieber, we talked. I've talked a lot about the hometown idea, right? Shane Bieber pitched at UCSB, so obviously you get the California connection right there. On top of that, though, I do have one concern, and it's just simply that you don't want a rotation that's completely full of injury-prone guys of recent injury, right? And so Bieber, of course, was shut down last year due to right elbow inflammation. So that might be my one concern, is just how healthy is Bieber after last year, because the name itself, oh my goodness, you add a Bieber to your rotation. I don't care where you slot him in the rotation. He's filthy when he's on. The question is he good enough to be on, right? And
also,
so we don't.
The fact that, we've talked about this a lot too, and we also mentioned Kershaw earlier, but that's an all right-handed rotation if you add a Bieber to this mix. So that's another thing. But the injury part, I think, is the bigger issue than whatever hand he pitches with, because the Dodgers have a lot of injury-prone pitchers already, and if we're talking about Kershaw, there's another one. So I don't know. I'd be wary. That's why, like, if you're gonna get one of those players, I'd rather get both of them.
Agreed.
Makes sense.
Real in both, and I mean, at the end of the day, if you're making that move, your primary focus truly is Class A to solidify the back end of that bullpen right there, and you're reeling in a top closer, right? Like, you're not reeling in a decent guy. For those that don't watch the Guardians, which probably are the masses out there, this is a lockdown closer, right? Like, you're talking about an all-star closer who shuts the door time in, time out, and you can basically expect to have a sub 2.5 ERA with this guy. Shane Bieber, filthy stuff when he's on, but he's not your primary guy if you're bringing him in. And you just wonder what that injury still looks like. Right elbow inflammation always scares me just slightly. So, and his numbers have dropped off a little bit. But hey, coming back to California to a winning organization, you never know what that'll do for a guy too. So I'm totally on board with the idea behind it. I'm curious to see what the operation as far as players in exchange would be. I think that you may end up having to hear Bush's name, which, at this point, Bush is blocked. So do you part with a guy like Bush? I don't know.
I think you have to. If you're going to make a trade, you got to have to sell high on Michael Bush, and he's at the height of his powers right now.
I think the guy that you absolutely, and I don't even know at this point, you can't really even call it selling high. It's basically selling at the point where it's almost the point of no return, is Diego Cartaya. He's a young player, but my goodness, his past season was just atrocious. And when you have Dalton Rushing coming up in the system, somebody's going to get blocked, right? You already have Will Smith there. And at some point in time,
don't forget about Fiducia too.
Yeah, exactly. So you just wonder. You wonder if at this point the Dodgers have a surplus why not take advantage of that and address an area that is in need, especially if you're trying to go out and win right now? You are not, I needed to make this very clear to people, you are not sacrificing the farm if you're parting with prospects, right? You're not sacrificing it if they're being blocked. You have to find that way where a player that should be called up that doesn't have an opportunity, you can maximize that value. And Dodgers have such a deep system that they can afford to do that. So some people don't like the idea of trading prospects at all. If you're going to get a good player, you have to trade good pieces, right? That's generally how it is. Obviously, the years of the deal, all that, contract, that plays a huge role. But in this case, if you're going to get a Class A, you're not going to trade the 30th prospect in your system and call it a done deal, right? That's just not how this works. So expect that a prospect that, the prospect huggers love, and rightfully so, that will probably be on the move. If that trade is executed, I would expect a Bush, maybe a Cartaya, maybe it is a Rushing, I don't know. But somebody's going to be on the move, and people are going to have to accept the fact that if you want a good player, if you want a dominant closer, you're going to have to give up pieces.
Speaking of dominant closers, insiders continue to link the Dodgers to Josh Hader. Although there hasn't really been much new speculation, the Bodens, the Murrays, even I think the Heymans of the world continue to link the Dodgers as one of the primary teams in the Josh Hader market. And the only new information, which is really no surprise, is that Josh Hader expects to get paid more than what Edwin Diaz got from the New York Mets, which I believe was a 5-year, $102 million offer.
The Hader rumor is so out of left field for the Dodgers to pay a closer that much money. They never pay relievers. I can't remember the last time that they locked up I think it was
Kenley Jansen.
Kenley Jansen but Kenley was homegrown and he had been with the organization forever, and it was like he was our closer, so let's keep him around. But the idea that Andrew Friedman would hand out a big contract to Hader, who's, like you said, Kevin, is looking for that Edwin Diaz deal more than the Edwin Diaz deal, I mean, would be great to get him. I mean, I'm not saying that the Dodgers wouldn't benefit from having a Josh Hader at the back end of their bullpen, but I mean, I'd be shocked if that happened.
Yeah, I wrote down a couple other names too. Go ahead, Dusty.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a guy, asking for $100 million that's entering his age 30 season, essentially, right? So he's got a violent delivery. Okay, that's something that concerns me always. He's locked down. Don't get me wrong, he's locked down. But yeah, the Dodgers throwing their money the way that we've seen with the last three guys. There's a reason behind that. Those three offer significant future value. And the problem with the relievers, they can be so hit or miss truly year to year. And with the way the Dodgers have been able to acquire, pieces here and there where they get the Brandon Morrows of the world, they get the Shelby Millers of the world, the Blake Trinans, where they're reclamation projects. I think that's where they're willing to actually take a chance or two, is find one of those reclamation guys instead of shelling out $100 million. It is out of left field for me. And I feel like the Phillies are probably the team that's going to nab him at the end of the day, because that's a team that is in win now mode that really could use a lockdown guy in the ninth inning, especially with Kimbrel signing with the Orioles. And we all know what happened with Kimbrel. Anyways, I think that's where the fit is. So I think the Dodgers can allocate their funds elsewhere in a more, in my opinion, just a safer way. Considering the injuries that they've had, that they're dealing with, that I think there's better avenues for them to take. And a long story short, I would say, yes, seeing Hader as your closer, I don't think anybody's going to be upset about the signing regardless of what it is, because it's not our money. But for the Dodgers, from a fiscal standpoint, it would not be the most responsible contract they would hand out if they did give out $100 million to Hader.
Well, speaking of other relievers, I agree with you, Dusty. Phillies make the most sense. Jordan Hicks is another name that the Dodgers are linked to. And then it keeps reappearing every other week that the Dodgers are in the Robert Stevenson market. And even though Robert Stevenson is for some reason getting treated like he's some elite electric reliever, I don't see any momentum really gaining in terms of where we're at with this market. But I mean, he had a great season last season for Tampa Bay.
I don't mean to sound like a casual fan here, but I've never heard of that guy.
Really?
Stevenson, pitcher for the Reds. There's nothing
You said
incredibly
Reds?
special.
Well, he was drafted from the Reds. He's now on the Rays.
Oh,
Now on the Rays. Yep. Yeah, there's not a lot of history that would lead me to call him like the main focus for them. I think that there are better relievers out there that you can go after outside of Hader, obviously, too. But I wouldn't be shocked if they're more in they're shopping in the trade market for that. That's an interesting one, though, because you talk about the reclamation that I just mentioned. Maybe that does kind of fit the bill to a degree. It wouldn't shock me. It's an interesting name to throw out there just because it's kind of also somewhat out of left field, but it kind of satisfies, I guess, a need in the 6th, 7th, 8th inning, maybe. So it definitely makes sense. I would be surprised. You hear Josh Hader's name and you hear that, it's a crazy.
Yeah, Robert Stevenson is intriguing because career-wise, he has a 4.64 ERA, a 1.34 WHIP, but 2023 over 60 games, a 3.10 ERA, an 0.88 WHIP, and 77 strikeouts across 52 innings thrown. So he's clearly discovered something. He was born in Martinez, California. I've never heard of Martinez, California. If someone could tell me where the hell that is in our massive state, but he went to high school in Alhambra. I know where that is.
Whether it's Stevenson, Hader, I don't care. Joe Schmo. I bring back Ryan Brazier. That's all you got to do. Bring him back. Stick him in that bullpen. You make Evan Phillips the closer. I'm good with that. I don't need to shell out $100 million for a closer. The Dodgers, the bullpen to me has been the strength of this franchise for as long as I can remember. Even when the offense isn't working or the starting pitching is depleted or injured, the bullpen always is good, no matter what. And the Dodgers have never, ever paid for a high-priced closer other than Kenley Jansen in recent memories.
Did you know Ryan Brazier is 36? I had no idea.
He's a beast.
That might be why they're holding off. I don't know what Brazier is asking, but if he's 36 and he wants 3 years, I might see why the Dodgers are hesitating now.
We don't know what he's asking for.
Yeah.
So I guess we have to wait and see.
Yeah.
I don't.
There's a few guys like Brazier that I guess to a degree probably are the low buy. I agree. I think Brazier, just based off his recent success, is something that at the end of the day I want to see, just because of the dominance that he had. But just to float a few names out there as guys that could be potential fits. I like the idea of possibly bringing in a Matt Moore. The way that he had success down the stretch with the Angels, you get a lefty in that bullpen. I wouldn't mind that. He doesn't have put away stuff necessarily as far as like dominant fastball, but he's got a decent curve. He spots it well. He's definitely better as a reliever than he ever was as a starter since his rookie year. So Matt Moore is intriguing, especially from the Angels side of things. Hector Neris is interesting. We don't need to talk about the Astros connection there, but just from an interest standpoint, I've got some intrigue. Michael Fulmer, he's got put away stuff. There are names out there that I think at least could offer the Dodgers some kind of value. Jordan Hicks, as you mentioned, though, you talk about put away stuff and just unreal fastball velocity. That is a guy that really, would just be a huge, huge addition to the back end of that bullpen.
By the way, Martinez, California is in the Bay Area. Is north of Berkeley. Just
okay.
Out there.
I'm glad it exists. Maybe JD Martinez has spent some time in Martinez. Wow, we got a lot of listeners in here. So want to thank you guys all for following along. Let's get to some Q&A in just a few minutes. So start asking your best questions, guys, and we'll get to those questions. I actually had a couple hitters I wanted to talk about. Was listening to the Baseball Insiders earlier with Robert Murray, and he talked about how Teoscar Hernandez's market has really heated up. The Boston Red Sox and the Angels are two teams that appear to be really high on Teoscar, and they're willing to go to 4 years, it appears. He did mention that the Dodgers, you can't count them out because they're just showing that they're willing to spend. but I know that the Dodgers were linked to Teoscar. It is starting to look like that he is not going to be wearing a Los Angeles Dodgers uniform and will probably have to pivot elsewhere, because I do still believe that the Dodgers need to find an additional outfielder. And obviously we've talked about Kike, but if Kiner Falefa could get $15 million, that means maybe Kike could get $15 million. I don't know if I want to pay Kike $15 million. And of course, Jock Peterson still exists along with other highly touted veterans.
Yeah, the outfielder position, the left field right-handed bat would be preferable. So the Kike Hernandez does fit that mold, but like a Tommy Pham could fit that mold too. If one of these teams that they're dealing with, if they're trying to get a pitcher, maybe they can throw in an outfielder that would, suffice. And then there's also the rumors out there that they're looking to maybe upgrade at shortstop too. So that's something else to keep an eye on. But they definitely need a right-handed bat for the outfield, because if you look at the lineup as it currently is constructed, you're not going to have Jason Hayward out there against left-handed pitching. So you're going to need someone to take his spot, because you got to figure against lefties, Chris Taylor's going to get the start, but then that leaves another corner outfield spot available if you're starting Mookie Betts at second base. So that's something to keep an eye on.
I interviewed Adam Duvall recently. He's from the area. Dude is in great shape. Obviously, he had an injury early in the season a year ago. Was absolutely mashing before his injury. He is an interesting fit just from the idea that he can still play the outfield even at age 35. He's got some pop. He would be an easy, probably 1-year deal, right? He probably wouldn't cost a whole heck of a lot. And I could see him being kind of that temporary stopgap. And if he produces, great. If not, I mean, you can always have the deadline too. So would be genuinely curious about that, if that would work out as well. And somebody else that's interesting is Whit Merrifield, just from a standpoint of, he kind of plays that utility role as well. So curious to see what happens. But I do think there are some options out there.
Is Whit Merrifield a free agent?
He is a free agent. Robert Murray mentioned that he is also gaining momentum in terms of what type of contract he could get paid. So I don't know if the Dodgers are going to go there.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely kind of maybe more of a stretch one, but I could still see a fit there, if that makes sense.
All right, so Ivy was begging me to try to play this game on our live stream using Sporkle. I don't know if you guys can see my screen at all very well, but essentially what this is name the 2023 Dodgers, test our memory. It gives us 12 minutes, but I think we should try to do it in 5.
Oh, we got this.
So can you guys see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
And it gives us the number, so I guess I could just read off the number. So, yeah. All right, I'm going to hit play. I can't see the chat, so there won't be any hints. Here we go. All right, number 3.
Chris Taylor.
Number 5.
Freddie.
Left fielder, number 6.
Peralta,
yes. Starting pitcher, number 7. That's that asshole. Utility, number 8.
Kike?
That's right. Let me type in Hernandez.
Is this last year?
Oh, we also got Yanni in there, too.
Shortstop, 11.
Miguel Rojas.
That's right. Center fielder, number 12. That one I am drawing a blank on number 12.
Marisnik?
I think you're right. You got it. All right. Third base, number 13.
Max.
Muncy. Catcher, 15, Barnes. Smith is catcher, 16. Second baseman, number 17. Oh, that's Vargas. 17, reliever, Joe Kelly. Reliever, number 18. Let me see if you guys remember this one.
Shelby Miller.
That's right. Starting pitcher, number 22. I think we all know that one.
Wait, hold on. I'm glad we got Tyson Miller, too, because I did not remember that.
Outfielder, number 23.
Jason Hayward.
Yep. Outfielder, number 25. Trace
Thompson, yeah.
Second baseman, number 25.
Colton Wong, baby.
That's right. Good job.
That
Starter, 26.
Tony G.
Yeah, that's right. A DH wearing number 28. JD. Reliever wearing number 29.
29.
We also had a catcher wearing 29. I feel like
Wins.
I was going to say, I think that's Wins. We can always come back to that reliever. I have some names. I just don't know if I can link the number. Second baseman, shortstop, number 31.
Ahmed Rosario.
Yeah.
Yep. Center fielder, 33, Outman. Starter wearing the number 35.
Your favorite player of all time.
Yep. Shortstop, 37.
37. Who came up?
Thinking of all the prospects that came up for like a day.
I know, I'm drawing a blank. We'll have to come back.
We'll go back to that one.
Reliever, 38.
I can't think
Almonte.
Almonte, good.
41, Hudson. Starter, 43.
Syndergaard.
Wow,
Thank God you remembered that. Reliever, 44. I think that's Jake Reed.
Yeah, Reed.
Oh, I'm wrong.
But
But we got Reed.
44? Oh, come on.
Is that Brazier?
No.
What number was Grove? Why can't I picture Grove's number?
Grove's like 50, 58, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was in the 50s.
Or 60 something.
44. I feel like we should know this.
We probably should.
What? Who came up?
All right, let's
for...
keep going.
Oh, yeah. Reliever, 46.
Was that Brazier?
Was Brazier in the 50s?
Try BRAS.
Oh, yeah, I typed out. 57, Brazier.
Never mind.
All right, starter, 47. Or reliever. Maybe that's Grove. Nope.
No, it's Pepio.
Yeah, good job. Okay, reliever, 48.
Oh, Gratterall.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of the
What was
righty-
Bickford?
Bickford.
The kid that came up for like one game and just shut him down.
Oh, Kyle Hurt?
Hurt, yeah.
He's 63.
63.
All right.
Mookie Betts.
Mookie's 50. Oops. 51.
Vesia.
Yep. What was Ferguson?
Ferguson's like 54, maybe?
All right, let's just start throwing in names. Who did we get? Okay, so Bickford somewhere. Okay, Bickford's 52. We need relievers that were 56.
Try Brian Hudson.
Oh yeah. Well, I typed in Hudson, so he came.
You already got him.
Victor Gonzalez.
That other guy. God, the other reliever, Tanner Scott was a guy. Okay, there he is.
Taylor Scott.
Victor Gonzalez, yes, Victor Gonzalez was a guy. Let's just get it. Bush. DeLuca was a player. Let's get DeLuca.
Evan Phillips.
Evan Phillips.
Oh, there, yeah, dude. That's one we should have gotten from the start here.
Okay, I can't look at the chat, so if you want to find names.
Who was the? Oh no, Jake Reed. That was the guy I was thinking of.
We're probably missing someone so obvious.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right, I think we've committed enough time. So let's
There's
just
gonna be one that really bothers us though.
on.
There's. Let's see.
Dustin.
We need to
May.
do Stone, May. I got May. Just Jake reminded. So
Yeah.
typed in May.
Did you do Grove? Yeah, you did Grove.
I did Grove. I did Taylor Scott.
Technically, does Bueller qualify on this right now?
No, he didn't pitch.
No.
Yeah, he doesn't qualify on this because yeah. Let's see.
I feel like
Who
we should
else?
have done better with this bullpen. Here.
No, yeah. This one.
All right, 47 out of 58. So we're missing 11 guys.
Oh, we got to do better than that. This is.
Who are like just the random guys that?
We
God.
talk so much about the off season that we forget. Like we just wanted to put
Who
this
was
whole
on the
season
team?
behind us at this point.
75 feels like someone that we saw quite a bit.
I don't know. I'm thinking like Paco Rodriguez.
Was there any other random lefties or other?
Oh my God, what the hell is his name? The weirdest fucking motion. Suero, Wander Suero.
Oh yeah, good call.
Dang, dude.
46.
That's digging deep.
Yeah.
That's digging deep. That's a good one.
God, there's just who was a random shortstop? Someone that
37. It's like Charlie.
Yarbrough.
Yeah, Andre Jackson. There we go. Yarbrough. Yep. Okay.
Yarbrough.
Emmett Sheehan.
Yeah, good job, Emmett Sheehan.
Good job, guys.
I think we're gonna call it there. 51 out of 58.
All right.
And then we'll resume with the show.
Oh, Calera.
Oh, Covey. Totally forgot about him. Yeah, Luke Williams.
That was the guy. Oh,
Caleric, Farland.
Oh, Brule.
Sear.
I should have thought about Brule. That I blame myself on not getting.
I don't feel so bad. We missed the fringe guys.
Yeah.
Basically.
I should have remembered Brule as well. Yeah. Well, that was fun.
That was fun.
We're back.
The people listening on the podcast right now they probably really enjoyed that.
I might edit that out for them.
oh, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. So we did the quiz. Let's get to some questions because that was for IV. From Michael Carrillo, what do you think of the Dodgers trading for an outfielder? Well, we kind of already hit on that in terms of the free agency. Are there any outfielders we feel like they could trade for? I mean, I haven't heard any rumors recently of anyone they're looking at.
I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it really happening. Juan Soto, if they really wanted to get in on the outfield market, we would have probably heard rumors of them having interest in the best outfielder available, and they weren't. So I kind of think that unless it's some very low key piece instead of addressing the market, I don't really see it happening. But with the interest of Teoscar, that does at least pose the question: are they doing their due diligence and looking around? But as far as good pieces out there, there's not really any that I see as good fits for the Dodgers.
This is an interesting question. Any idea why Freeman wasn't at the Yamamoto presser? And I did find that to be odd too. Also, the fact that Mark Walter wasn't there either was kind of strange. That they didn't, kind of roll out all the bells and whistles that they did for Ohtani. But I think it was honestly because of the historic. Well, I mean, Yamamoto's contract was historic, but no one's ever given out a $700 million contract before. So the historic nature of Ohtani coming to the Dodgers makes sense. But I don't know. Like I mentioned earlier on in this podcast, Stan Kasten was saying that Friedman was kind of still on the phones or still working it. I mean, he seemed like he was indicating that Friedman was actively working on something. So if that's the case, then he gets a pass from me. But I did find it odd. What did you guys think about that?
Friedman's clearly cooking up a storm, or he had COVID. One of the two.
Or he's cooking while he's on COVID.
Yeah.
Cooking up the storm with COVID. I don't know. People want to look into a lot of things. It's a fair point. It's just interesting because the dynamic that every single network was broadcasting the Ohtani presser, and with Yamamoto getting such a big deal, you would think that it would get similar reception there with having Friedman, but he's got to be cooking, right? Like that's got to be the key. The other thing is this: maybe he just straight up wanted to avoid the media, because what happened with the Ohtani signing, the whole presser there, MLB Network actually had him on as a guest while he was still cooking up the Glasnow deal. So you have to wonder if maybe there was something there too. Yeah, I don't know. Curious about that.
Yeah, I can't even speculate, but I'm sure Andrew Friedman had his reasons. I didn't even shout out TickPick, so let me get our advertisement in real quick, because Christmas is gone. New Year's is just around the corner. I don't even know if TickPick has events for New Year's events, but why don't you download the app, check it out. If you have a New Year's resolution to go to more sporting events next season, well then TickPick should be your go-to, because They have a number of awesome features, including no service fees at checkout. They pretty much exceed any, or I should say they have the better prices versus any of the other sites out there. So if you're looking to have your expectations exceeded for ticket prices, well, then I highly recommend download that TickPick app, check it out yourself, get the best deals for whatever you're all about over on the TickPick app. Anything you guys want to add about TickPick? And apparently my audio went out.
TickPick is great. We love it. No service fees at checkout. We love all that. And like I said, I mean, I got some really good seats, some really good Dodgers seats last season for a very affordable price, much more affordable than any of the other sites out there like StubHub. So couldn't recommend it more. We love it.
Audio was also really loud, so I just turned it down for me. So I'll make computer randomly turned off. I was chopped, but I'm doing my best here. We're almost near the very end of the show, so get your final question. I haven't hit the like button yet. I've run more smoothly than this. Please, to 1K subscribers. That's definitely our. No other really. There's no that I'm aware of, so there's not much else to talk. The next move happens, it's going to but man, it's been an awesome offseason, I must say. Cover real quick.
It's not only the fact that your mic is cutting out, but for some reason you sound like you're on helium. Your voice is like super, it's pitched up for some reason.
On it.
He's speechless. Here, we're doing final thoughts?
Or any final subjects you guys want?
Guess whose audio just went out? Can you guys hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah, I got you.
Can you actually hear me? I can't hear anything. Welcome to our studio setup.
Well, we hear you.
Let's see.
But
it's the dream of bad audio today, I think. I got to get rolling anyways with my my broadcast, but yeah, unfortunately, can't hear the last bit of the audio here. But just want to say thank you guys for having me on, and obviously with the fact that everything's been going on with these major signings, I think it's important to realize right now like how historic of a moment this is for Dodgers fans. How special it is, obviously, to have the opportunity to talk about these things. We're living in history of this game right now, and for this organization to be able to reel in the names that we've been talking about, to still be in on some of the players that we're discussing, whether it be a reliever, an outfielder, whether it be somebody incredibly crucial that we don't even know still needs to be a piece on this team. I mean, it's been very exciting. This offseason has been super exciting, and we're just fortunate that finally Dodgers fans are getting what they deserve, and just thankful that they're turning a corner, it feels like, at this time. So with that being said, boys, I wish I could hear what you're saying. Welcome to live TV. This is what it's like on a live TV regular situation, where your equipment decides to fail. AKA mine is now doing it. So it's the rotating circle. Jake, watch your equipment, bro. Watch out for it. It's next. But Kevin, Jake, thanks for having me on here, man. And catch me on the news tonight at 11 too on Eastern time.
Hell yeah, Dusty. Thank you so much for joining us. Sorry you can't hear us. We could hear every word you said, so that's great. I'm the last man standing when it comes to not having any technical difficulties. I'll just end the show by saying that this is a dream come true as a Dodgers fan. To have just not only the means to go out and acquire top-tier talent, but franchise-altering talent. I think there's a very big distinction there, because it's not just let's get all the best players that we can, but this is a cultural shift and an importance that the Dodgers have done to put their team on a global level. The amount of media attention that is coming to the Dodgers is going to be unheard of. We've talked about it for years, Kevin, where a lot of the attention is typically given to the East Coast teams because a lot of people on the East Coast, media included, don't stay up to watch the Dodgers games because it's just too late for them. Now it's going to be, people are going to be staying up late to watch these games because it's going to be must-see TV with Yamamoto and Ohtani and the rest of these guys. So I couldn't be happier. You know, people say that there's a target on our backs. We've been dealing with that for a decade now, that there's a target on our backs and that there are expectations to win the World Series. It's no different. The expectations are still the same, but I think the pressure to get it done has increased, and I welcome that.
100%. That's a good way to thought. New Year's resolutions before we peace out.
Any New Year's resolutions? Well, one of them is going to be, this is a weird one. I'm going to talk to more strangers. I feel like I need to start conversations more with people that I don't know. I got a pretty good idea of how to do that when I was a reporter. But I was sort of like an obligation to talk to people when they didn't want to talk to me or just to find out the story behind everything. But I think in my day-to-day life, I want to start conversations with people that I don't know, because you never know where that conversation could lead. You could acquire a new friend. You could, ask a girl out on a date. Who knows? I mean, there's the endless possibilities when you start talking to different people. So that's one of my New Year's resolutions.
My new, I'm going to avoid costs on Twitter this upcoming year. Fight me, I'm just going to let it swim. Limit myself to 3 strikes and I'm out. I'm going to try to be the most and not passive aggressive, encouraging fan that I can. I will try to hold back, and I will try to avoid action with strangers online. Worked because I kind of have an all-star list of people. Max Muncy has blocked me for some reason. Dwight Howard blocks me. I do know why. Only blocks me. Felt like Dodgers Nation has blocked me. One of these kids, again, didn't interact with her. Nicole Alvarez. Quite a lineup.
Yeah, that's a long list of haters there, Kevin.
Final thoughts, Jake, before we...
I got nothing else. I don't have anything else for you, Kev.
Cool. Well, again, sorry for difficulties. I will fix that on my end. Every single one of you that have followed along this year. So I want to personally thank all of you. Like button, just hit the like button, be a subscriber, and we've got a lot of content coming in the year 5, or you want to count. Technically season 6, I believe. 2019, 2020, 21, 22. Yep. Year 6, season 6. Cool. Well, thank you guys, everyone.